Should I introduce myself? Hi, my name is Linfamy, and today we're going to be reading part 2 of the first chapter of Smiling Proud Wanderer. So last week we learned that you shouldn't drink beer while reading. That's a very important lesson. That's why I have water. So last week, what happened was we meet one of the major characters, Lin Pingji, and Lin Pingji is the heir to his father's business, which is like a private security business, bodyguard service. And one day he gets into a fight with these two foreigners, these two guys from out of town, and he accidentally kills one of them, and the other one runs away. Now, when he gets home, all of a sudden, people in his business, his workers, start dying, right? They start dying one by one, and we don't know why. We think it's because of revenge, like someone who knew that person that he killed, maybe trying to avenge him. But we don't know for sure. So let me know in the chat what you think is happening. And no spoilers, by the way, if you already know the answer. Hey, don't be a dick. All right. Yep, that's the recap. I did the recap. Nikki wanted me to do that. All right. Let's do it. Chapter 1, Massacre, Part 2. Without saying another word, Lin Jianan hurried to the front hall. All the tables and chairs... Oh, wait. Sorry. I want to switch... There you go. Oh, we screwed up, guys. We screwed up. All right, start all over again. Chapter 1, Massacre, Part 2. Without saying another word, Lin Jianan hurried to the front hall, and all the tables and chairs in the hall had been moved against the walls, and 17 bodies lay on the floor, in no particular order. Although Lin Jianan was not a novice when it came to handling difficulties, when he took in the situation at the horrible scene, his hands could not help trembling, and his knees almost gave out. Why, he muttered, his voice so dry that the others could barely hear him. Alas, Escort Gao was an honest man and a diligent man. Who'd expect that the demon would not spare him either? Voices came from outside the front hall, and seconds later, 5 neighbors walked into the front hall, carrying a door plank. A dead body lay on top of it. Another one. So the workers think that it's the work of a demon, okay? Not of a person. All these killings. When I opened my door this morning, I saw him lying dead in the middle of the street, one of the neighbors explained. I recognized him as Escort Gao from your escort house. I figured he probably had some kind of plague, so I asked a couple of neighbors to help me carry him back to your escort house. Many thanks, Lin Jianan cupped his hands and bowed. So cupping your hands is like doing this. Or more formally, like this. Or you can also bow like this. And that just means hello or goodbye. Like instead of waving, they go like, because it looks cool. Turning toward a henchman standing by the side, he instructed, give 3 taels of silver to each of these wonderful neighbors. You can go to the bookkeeper to get the money. Frightened by all the dead bodies in the hall, the neighbors thanked Lin Jianan and hurried away. And before long, the bodies of 4 more escorts were sent back. Lin Jianan counted the bodies and came to a total of 22. Escort Jews was the only one not among them, but it might not be long before his body would be found somewhere. Lin Jianan walked back to the East Hall, pouring a cup of hot tea for himself. He tried to calm down, but that didn't help. Still feeling completely dumbfounded, he walked out of the gate and looked around. The stumps of the 2 broken flagpoles had been taken away, but he found himself even more disturbed. The foes had killed over 20 people in the escort house, but had never actually shown themselves. They never formally announced their intentions, nor did they reveal their true identities. He turned around and glared at the big sign bearing the golden words, Fortune Prestige Escort House, thinking, the Fortune Prestige Escort House has been renowned for decades. Will it come to ruin in my hands? Then he heard the sound of hoofbeats approaching from the street. A horse slowly trotted toward the escort house, and a man lay slumped back in the saddle. Lin Jianan walked to the horse, but he wasn't surprised to see that it was escort Ju. The enemy must have killed him and just left the body on the horse. The horse remembered the way home and came back all by itself. Lin Jinan let out a deep sigh as tears poured down his face and fell on the body of escort Ju. Brother Ju, he carried the body into the hall, murmuring, "If I can't avenge you, I'd rather die. Why? Why did you leave so hurriedly without even telling us the name of your killer?" Escort Ju was just a regular escort in the escort house, and not particularly close to Lin Jinan. Lin Jinan's tears were shed more out of frustration than from the sadness at losing a friend. Okay, so more people are dying. Mano, yeah, Snowdragon's dead. Sorry, Snowdragon was was Lin Pingqi's horse that died. Chocolate Leighton Ninja. How long have you been live streaming? Just since last week. This is the second time. Let's go. Madame Wong, this is Lin Pingqi's mom, Lin Jinan's wife, stood in the front of the hall holding her golden saber in her left hand. Pointing at the courtyard with her right hand, she shouted challengingly, "You cursed murderers! Why are you hiding yourselves and sneaking around? If you are real men, I dare you to come to the Fortune Prestige Escort House and fight a real fight. Aren't you afraid of being looked down on by doing all of this sneaking around?" "Did you see anything?" Lin Jinan asked his wife in a whisper as he placed Escort Ju's body down on the ground. "No, I didn't see anything," Madame Wong growled. "These rotten lowlifes must be frightened of our Lin family's 72 moves." Lin family? Linfamy. "These rotten lowlifes must be frightened of our Linfamy's 72 moves of the evil resisting sword art." So, that's okay. Well, that's the evil resisting sword art. That's the martial arts of our channel now. It's Linfamy's 72 moves of the evil resisting sword art. Ursa, for short. What do you guys think? Yeah, no dragon's dead. Sorry, guys. Mayra says, "Okay, I got some new water." Okay, that's good. Lin family, that's right. This is our martial arts now, guys. It's really powerful. Linfamy's 72 moves. She waved the saber in the air and continued, "They are frightened of the golden saber in my hand, too." Suddenly, the sound of snickering rose from a corner of the roof, and then with a hiss of wind, an object zipped through the air and struck the spine of the golden saber. Madame Wong felt a shock run through her arm and had to let go of the weapon. The saber flew into the air and landed in the middle of the courtyard. Wasting no time, Lin Jinan unsheathed his sword and jumped up to the roof. And with a move called Cast Upon Demons, the tip of his sword danced like the scatter of falling petals and flew toward the origin of the attack. Having not been able to face his enemies, he found his anger growing for the past couple of days and now reaching a point of explosion. Sparing no strength, he attacked with full force, but the attack hit nothing. The corner of the roof was completely empty, with not even a shadow. He jumped onto the roof of the east room, but found no one there either. Madame Wong and Lin Pingqi also jumped up to the roof, with their weapons drawn. Filled with fury, Madame Wong snarled, "Damn you, you son of a dog! Be a man, come out and fight. Are you scared? What kind of shameless cowards are you?" "Where did that son of a dog go? Who was he?" she asked Lin Jinan. Lin Jinan shook his head. "Keep your voice down," he whispered. The three searched the entire roof and then jumped back down the courtyard. "What hit your saber?" Lin Jinan asked in a low voice. "Damn that son of a dog, I don't know," Madame Wong snapped. "I like her. I really like her." They searched the courtyard, but couldn't find neither darts nor other missiles. The only thing they were able to find were small grains of bricks spread across the floor under the osmanthus tree. Obviously, the attacker had hit Madame Wong's saber with just a small piece of brick, and it was frightening to imagine that such a piece of brick could have carried such power. Seeing the fragments of brick, Madame Wang stopped cursing. Her anger was quenched and completely replaced with fear. She froze for a moment and then walked into the room silently. So it looks like the attacker is really powerful. And the way they know that is because they threw a small piece of brick at Madame Wang's sword, and she had to drop it because it was so powerful. So yeah, in this world, people can imbue their chi into a small piece of brick and just fling it at you. And it's supposed to be really strong. Nikki says, I hope this chapter has more turtle-based insult. Me too. But son of a dog is pretty good too. Trenton Quarantino. Grandpa, is this a kissing book? It is not a kissing book. It is a attacking book and fighting book. But there is kissing. I don't think there's sex though. There's not that much sex. It's a very wholesome. The romance in this novel is very wholesome. That can be a good thing or a bad thing. Zeker says move 1 is to start a YouTube channel. Yes, please start a YouTube channel. Flying Panda, I love you too. Thanks for coming. George says start over. He missed 15 minutes. No! You didn't miss much, I think. They searched the courtyard, but could... No, we already did that. After the husband and son entered, Madame Wang shut the door behind them. The enemy is too skillful. We're not in the same class. What shall we? She whispered nervously. We can ask for help from friends. It's perfectly normal for people to help each other in a time of need, Lin Jianan replied. We have many true friends that we can trust, but how many of them can fight better than we can? The ones that are no better than us won't be any help anyway, Madame Wang questioned. Yes, you are right, Lin Jianan admitted, but the more people, the more brain power. It might not be a bad idea to ask them for ideas. Fine. Who do you think we should ask? Madame Wang asked. Let's get friends who live close by first, Lin Jianan suggested. I will transfer all the elite fighters from our escort houses in Hangzhou, Nanchang, and Guangzhou, and also invite famous kung fu masters in our province and the neighboring 3 provinces. Don't you think that would hurt the reputation of the Fortune Prestige escort house? Madame Wang frowned. Wife, you are 39 years old this year, right? Lin Jianan suddenly asked out of the blue. Why are you suddenly asking about my age? I was born in the year of the tiger. Don't you remember how old I am? Madame Wang spat at him. I will be sending out invitations for your 40th birthday party, Lin Jianan said, when Madame Wang quickly cut him short grouchily. Why the hell are you so interested in seeing me get a year older? You think I'm not old enough already? You're not old at all. You don't even have a single gray hair, Lin Jianan shook his head. I'm using your 40th birthday party as an excuse, so when we invite relatives and friends over, we won't rouse any suspicion. When everybody arrives, we shall only tell our close friends the true story. Then there will be no damage to our reputation, he explained. So yeah, another thing is, in this world, reputation means a lot. People will die for their reputation, right? We may think it's weird here, but in this world, it's very important. And actually, in China, it and a lot of Asian countries, it exists now too. Like you won't find people dying for their reputation, but like the idea of the concept of losing face is a real thing, and it's very important to not lose face in front of your peers, right? So here they don't want to ask for help because it will hurt the reputation of their escort house, and it'll also slow down business because people will think, oh, you're not really good fighters, so you can't really be good bodyguards, right? So Madame Wang thought about it for a while and finally agreed. Very well, it is your decision, but what do I get for a birthday present? A big one. Let's have a cute, fat baby boy next year, Lin Jianan whispered in her ear. Bah, you old goat. Still talking nonsense in such a crisis. Madame Wang's face went scarlet, and she spat at her husband half in annoyance. Lin Jianan grinned and then left for the bookkeeper's office so he could arrange to have the invitations sent out. The joke was just to ease his wife's fear. He himself was still deeply worried. Water a mile away cannot put out a fire at hand. Terrible things will most probably happen again in the escort house this very night. When our friends arrive, there might not be a fortune prestige escort house waiting for them, he thought to himself. When Lin Jianan arrived at the door of the bookkeeper's office, he was greeted by two very frightened servants. Chief Master, something horrible has happened, one of them mumbled in a trembling voice. What's the matter? Lin Jianan asked. Bookkeeper Mr. Dong just sent Lin Fu to go buy some coffins, and right after he turned the corner on the east street, he fell to the ground dead, said the servant fearfully. What? Where's the body? Still lying on the street. Go bring the body back here, Lin Jianan directed. Now our enemies are becoming more reckless. They even dare to commit murder in broad daylight, and right in the middle of the street, he thought aloud. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The two servants answered, but neither of them moved an inch. Well, Lin Jianan roared. Chief Master, you'd better go have a look at... Lin Jianan knew something bizarre must have happened again. He gave a snort and walked toward the gate. 3 escorts and 5 henchmen were already there. They stared through the gate, all looking very frightened. What's going on? Lin Jianan demanded, and then saw for himself before anybody had a chance to answer. At about 10 paces from the gate, an inch-wide line was drawn on the stone slab street in blood. Words also written in blood next to the line read, "Cross the line and die." When was this drawn? Did anyone see who did it? Asked Lin Jianan immediately. Earlier, when Lin Fu died on East Street, everybody was crowded around him to see what was happening. There was no one here. I don't know who would do such a thing, an escort answered. Lin Jianan raised his voice and said loudly, I, Lin Jianan, am tired of living. I'd like to see how I'm going to die after I cross this line. He strode out of the gate. Chief Master, 2 of the escorts cried out. Lin Jianan waved them off and stepped over the line. The blood used to draw the line and the words was still wet. He scuffed the words out with the bottom of his shoes and then went back through the gate. This is just an attempt to scare us, he said to the 3 escorts. There's nothing to be afraid of. Brothers, would you please first go to the coffin shop and then make a visit to the Heavenly Peace Temple in the west end of town to have the monks come over for a mass to calm the souls, deliver them from purgatory, and drive away the evil spirits. The 3 escorts watched the chief master stepping over the bloody line with their own eyes. Seeing that no harm had befallen him, they were quite relieved. After getting their weapons, they walked out of the gate side by side. Lin Jianan watched them stepping over the bloody line and rounding the corner of the street. He waited a little bit longer and then went back into the house. Walking into the bookkeeper's office, Lin Jianan said to bookkeeper Huang, Mr. Huang, will you please write some invitation to some relatives and friends for a wine party in honor of my wife's birthday? Of course, sir. And which day would that be? Bookkeeper Huang asked. Suddenly, sounds of running steps came from outside. A man rushed in through the gate. Lin Jianan stuck his head out and heard a loud thud. Someone had fallen. Hurrying toward the place from which the sound came, Lin Jianan saw Escort D, one of the 3 escorts he just sent to the coffin shop, laying on the ground. He was barely alive. Brother D, are you all right? Lin Jianan held him in his arms and asked him frantically. They're all dead. I ran back. Escort D gasped. Who did this to you? Don't know. Then after a couple of shudders, Escort D lay still. Within minutes, everyone in the escort house heard the news. Madame Wang and Lin Pingji both came out, and all they heard from the crowd was, cross the line and die. I'll retrieve the bodies of the other 2 escorts, Lin Jianan said with determination. And everyone is just dying. Like, how many people do they have in this place? It's like 20-something already. Chief Master, you can't go, Bookkeeper Huang muttered. Great courage brings great rewards. 30 taels of silver for the one that brings the bodies back. He made the announcement 3 times, but no one answered. Where's Pingji? Pingji? Madame Wang suddenly shrieked frantically, her voice filled with fear. Young master! Everyone started calling together with Madame Wang. I am here! Lin Pingqi's voice floated in from outside the gate. With a surge of relieved happiness, everyone rushed to the gate, and rounding the street corner was Lin Pingqi with a body over each shoulder. He had carried back the 2 dead escorts. With weapons in their hands, Lin Zijian and Madame Wang both rushed over to the bloodline to guard Lin Pingqi's back. What a brave young man the young master is. He has great courage. All the escorts and henchmen cheered, while Lin Jinan and Madame Wang were both filled with pride for their son. Child, that was too reckless. These 2 escorts were good friends, but they were dead already. It wasn't worth the risk, Madame Wang said reprovingly. Lin Pingqi managed a smile, but deep inside he was miserable. The whole affair is my fault, he thought to himself. It is all because I couldn't contain myself and killed that guy. So many people have died because of me. If I only worry about my own life like a coward, how can I bear to ever look at myself again? Unbelievable! Mr. Hua is dead too! Suddenly shouts came from the back room. What happened? Lin Jinan shouted as the steward of the escort house walked out in quick trots. Chief Master, the steward said fearfully, Mr. Hua went out the back door to shop for some vegetables, and he just dropped dead about 10 paces out the back door. There are the same words in blood. Mr. Hua was just a cook in the escort house. His cooking skills were top-notch. He was quite famous for his white gourd pot, Buddha over the wall, pickled fish, and fish wrap wonton. What is Buddha over the wall? He was Lin Jinan's secret weapon when he wanted to socialize with local officials and rich business owners. Hua was only a cook, neither an escort nor a henchman. It was an unwritten rule that wagon pullers, sedan carriers, grooms, and porters were to be left alone when bandits raided the escort convoys. With enemies so ruthless, it would probably result in a massacre of the entire escort house. Lin Jinan shivered at the thought. Don't be afraid, he tried to calm everyone. These damn bandits only have the guts to attack when one is off guard. Well, you've all seen the young master, Madame Wang, and I step across the line. What did those damn thugs do? Nothing? They dared do nothing. Everybody agreed obsequiously, yet no one dared to step out of the gate. Lin Jinan and Madame Wang frowned at each other, and neither had any idea of what to do. Tsukiyomi no Mikoto says, even the cook is dead. I know, they're killing everyone. Jeez. Yuhin Tam, people are feeling really sad for the cook. Yuhin Tam says the cook is a little too far. Where will you get the food? Oh, sorry, that's the most important thing in life. Oh, okay, Zikr says Buddha jumps over the wall is also known as Buddha's temptation. Is a variety of shark fin soup in Fujian cuisine, says Wikipedia. Thanks, Zikr. Oh, I can just ask you guys when I have any questions, huh? Tenebrous Soul says next book, it should be the yokai one. Yeah, we're gonna stick with this book for a long time because it has a lot of chapters. Alright, that night, Lin Jinan scheduled the escorts to guard the escort house, but when he checked upon them, he found no one on duty. All the escorts just huddled within the hall. When they saw the chief master, all stood up, looking embarrassed, yet no one wanted to move. Lin Jinan knew that the enemy was just too vicious, and after the deaths of so many people, he still had not come up with a solution. No wonder everyone was so scared. So he uttered a few words of comfort, ordered servants to bring wine and dishes to the hall, and then drank together with the escorts. Greatly worried, each one just drank the wine silently, and no one talked much. Not long after, many became drunk and fell asleep. The following noon, several horses suddenly thundered out of the escort house. After a short investigation, Lin Jinan found that 5 escorts simply could not bear the stress and had fled without notice. He shook his head and sighed. When trouble comes, each bird will fly in its own direction. I can no longer take care of each of you, brothers. If you feel like leaving, please, go ahead, he declared. Some escorts started berating the 5 for lack of loyalty, while some others kept their silence and only sighed. They were probably wishing that they had fled as well. Near dusk, 5 horses came back with 5 bodies, of course. The 5 escorts who wanted to escape only ended up losing their lives before everyone else. Linpingji was enraged. Sword in his hands, he dashed out of the gate and stood 3 paces beyond the line of blood, yelling, "A true man would take full responsibility for his own actions. I, Linpingji, killed you from Chushuan. It has nothing to do with anyone else. If you want your revenge, come to me. Stab me through the heart and slice me up. I won't complain. But you keep killing innocent people. What kind of monster does something like that? Linpingji stands before you. Come and kill me if you dare. If you are too scared to come out, then you are just a pack of craven weaklings, you son of a dog." There's that insult again. The sound of his voice escalated, becoming louder and louder. Tearing open his shirt and exposing his chest, he pounded his own chest, shouting, "Come out and put your knife right through here. I am a real man, and I am not afraid of death. Why are you so scared to stand in front of me, face to face, you damn cowards, you filthy monsters?" His eyes turned red from his anger, and he struck his own chest heavily. Many bystanders watched him from far away, but no one wanted to come near the escort house. Hearing their son shouting, Lin Jinan and his wife both rushed out of the gate. Their anger and frustration had been steadily building over the last couple of days. The anger finally exploded, and they too began to pour streams of abuse at their unknown enemies. The escorts looked at each other with admiration for the courage of the 3. They felt no surprise that their chief master and his wife would shout defiance at their enemies, since the chief master was an outstanding man, and Madam was a brave woman. But the young master looked as fragile as a girl, making him seem that much more heroic for his fearlessness. The 3 shouted for a good long while, but were only rewarded with silence. Cross the line and die? I just crossed the line. What are you going to do? Linpingji yelled out loud. He walked over the line again and stood straight with pride, sword in hand. Yes, these damn thugs only bully the weak, but fear the strong. They don't even have the guts to come and face my son, Madame Wang said to Linpingji tenderly. She grabbed his hand and dragged him back into the gate. Linpingji was still trembling with fiery anger. After going back to the bedroom, he could no longer hold his tears back. Bending over the bed, he started to cry. "Son, you are very brave. You are a true man of the Lin family, the Linfamy. There's nothing we can do if the enemy doesn't have the guts to face us openly. Why don't you go take a rest?" Lin Jinan patted him on the head, trying to comfort him, but Linpingji continued to cry until he finally dozed off. After dinner, Linpingji overheard his parents talking. It was something about some escorts who were talking about digging a tunnel out from the back garden. This way they could escape without crossing the line of blood. If they were trapped in the escort house, all of them would die sooner or later. "If they want to dig a tunnel out, let them," Madame Wang sniffed. "But I am afraid that..." Lin Jinan and Linpingji both understood what she meant. The escorts would most likely end up just like the 5 escorts who tried to ride away, losing their lives earlier rather than later. "Why don't I go have a look? If it really works, then it might be a good way for all the escorts and henchmen to escape," Lin Jinan said. He went out, but soon returned saying they were just talking about it, but no one really dared to dig. That night, the 3 went to bed very early. Everyone in the escort house had resigned themselves to their fates, and no one cared to stand guard for the night. Linpingji slept until about midnight when he suddenly felt somebody patting his shoulder. He jumped up and instantly reached for the sword under his pillow. Then he heard his mother's voice. "Pingji, it's me. Your father has been gone for a good while, and he still hasn't returned. Let's go look for him." "Where did Dad go?" Linpingji asked in surprise. "I don't know," Madame Wang replied. The 2 grabbed their weapons and walked out of the room. They first peeked into the big hall, only to find that it was filled with candlelight and a dozen gambling escorts. Everyone had his heart in his throat for the last couple of days. Finally realizing there was nothing to do to improve the situation, they just stopped worrying about their safety. Madame Wang gestured Linpingji to follow her and then left. The mother and son looked everywhere, but still couldn't find Lin Jinan. They became more and more worried, but were afraid to alert the household. The news of the Chief Master's disappearance at a time when everyone was scared to death would be disastrous. The situation would be completely out of control. The two searched all the way to the rear of the escort house when Lin Pingqi suddenly heard a faint noise come from the armory to the left. Fluttering candlelight shone from behind the window. Walking quietly by the window, he poked a hole in the paper with his fingertip and looked inside. Then he called out happily, "Dad, there you are." Lin Jianan was hunched over something shielded by his body. When he heard the call, he turned his head back. Lin Pingqi's smile froze when he saw the terrified expression on his father's face. His heart started thumping hard, and he just froze there, mouth wide open. Madame Wang pushed the door open and went in. There was blood everywhere. 3 benches were put together side by side, and a body lay across them. The body was completely stripped, and the chest and belly were cut open. Madame Wang looked at the face and recognized it as Escort Huo, one of the 5 escorts who rode away and then was carried back dead. Lin Pingqi walked in and closed the door behind him. Removing the body heart from the chest cavity and holding it in his hand, Lin Jianan exclaimed, "The heart was crushed to pieces, just as I expected. It was... Madame Wang completed the sentence for him. It was the heart-crushing palm technique of the Qinchang Sword School." Lin Jianan nodded and then lowered his head in silence. Remember, the Qinchang Sword School was the school that they invited to they invited to their home, and the master of the Qinchang Sword School is named Yu, and the guy that Lin Pingqi killed also had the last name of Yu. So it may be related. Lola Pasada. Lola La Pasada. I had to go to the other side of the lab. What did I miss? Well, so they were more people died. And we find out that Lin Jianan he cut open the body of one of the dead escorts and found that the heart was crushed to pieces, and looks like that was the martial arts of the Qinchang Sword School. Lin Jianan nodded and then lowered his head in silence. By then, Lin Pingqi finally understood that his father was performing an autopsy on the body to try to determine the cause of death. Lin Jianan put the heart back in its cavity, wrapped the body with oilskin, and then placed it in a corner. He wiped the blood off his hands with the oilskin, and then went back to the bedroom with his wife and son. The enemy is definitely an elite master hand from the Qinchang Sword School. "Wife, what do you think we should do?" he asked. The whole trouble started because of me. I'll go challenge him to a fight. If I can't win, then just let him kill me," Lin Pingqi bellowed. Lin Jianan shook his head. "This person can crush someone's heart into pieces without a single hit, without leaving any sign of damage to the body. His kung fu skills are remarkable. He must be a first-class master in the Qinchang Sword School. If he had wanted to kill you, you'd be dead long ago. I think he is deliberately cruel. He is being deliberately cruel. He's not just simply going to kill us." "What does he want?" Lin Pingqi asked. "He wants to play with us, like a cat plays with mice. He wants to see us squirm until we are all frightened to death, and that's when he will be satisfied," Lin Jianan answered. How dare this son of a dog show such disrespect to our Fortune Prestige escort house," Lin Pingqi barked. "He is surely looking down upon the Fortune Prestige escort house," Lin Jianan stated. "Perhaps he is afraid of the 72 moves of father's evil-resisting sword art. Otherwise, why does he never dare to fight face-to-face with father, and only sneaks around stabbing people in the back?" "Pingqi," Lin Jianan said as he shook his head slightly, "your father's evil-resisting sword art is well and fine for dealing with regular gangsters, but this man's heart-crushing palm kung fu is much better than mine. I don't normally give up so easily, but after seeing Escort Huo's heart, Seeing the dark expression that clouded his father's face, Lin Pingqi did not say another word. So remember, this evil-resisting sword art is a martial arts that was passed down through the Lin family for a couple of generations. I think 2 generations. And the person that came up with it, his Lin Pingji's great grandfather, was really good, right? He was like one of the top kung fu masters. So one question you should ask is, how come he was so good, but when he passed down his martial arts, his son and his grandson, they're not that good? Why is that? There's an answer to it, but it comes in uh, it comes in later in the book. Seeing the dark expression that clouded his father's face, Lin Pingqi did not say another word. Since the enemy is so powerful, a real man should be ready to swallow his pride. So why don't we just hide from him for a little while? Madame Wong suggested. That's what I have in mind too, Lin Jianan nodded. Let's head out to Luoyang tonight, Madame Wong said. Fortunately, we know who the enemy is now. It is never too late for revenge, even if we have to wait for 10 years. That's right. Father-in-law has friends all over. He will be able to come up with a solution. Let's pack now and we'll leave right away, Lin Jianan said. If we leave, who's going to take care of the people in the escort house? Lin Pingji asked. The enemy has no score to settle with them. After we leave, all the others in the escort house will actually be safer, Lin Jianan explained. Oh, Empress Mermaid, thank you for the super chat. She says, hi, Linfamy. She loves me. Oh, thank you. I love you too. Yuhin Tam says, obviously he is a ghost, the killer. Yeah, so that's one theory. The killer is a ghost. Kai Duraske says it will be easier to consider each school as a house in Game of Thrones. He said in Game of the Thrones. yeah. So each school can be considered a house. The thing with the house is the house is made up of mostly people who are blood related, but a school doesn't have to be, right? A school doesn't have to have blood brothers and sisters. They're maybe just sworn brothers and sisters. Kai also says each house or school has some kind of special style of martial arts unique to them. That's right. That is correct. Lin Pingqi thought aloud. That's very true. The enemy had killed so many people in the escort house, all because of me. After I leave, the enemy will just leave all the escorts and henchmen alone. So he went back to his room to pack. He looked at all his robes and toys, afraid that the foes might just burn the escort house to the ground. He could not bear to part with any of them. So even though he already had packed 2 big bags, he still felt that there were too many things left behind. He picked up a jade horse statue on the table with his left hand and then grabbed a leopard fur with his right hand and a fur that was skinned from a leopard he had killed himself. Carrying all the bags, he strode to his parents' room. So you can tell that this guy is kind of a spoiled kid because he has a lot of fancy stuff that he wants to bring with him. And of course, this Fortune Prestige escort house is they're very rich, right? When Madame Wong saw him, she couldn't help grinning. We are escaping, not moving. What are you going to do with all that stuff? She asked amusedly. Lin Jianan sighed and shook his head, thinking to himself, although we've been a martial arts family for generations, our son is so used to living in ease and comfort that except for the kung fu he has learned, he is no different from any rich, profligate son. Now, when a sudden misfortune has forced us to run away in a hurry, how can I blame him? Love and tender affection welled up in his heart, and he could not help but try to comfort his son. Grandfather's house has everything you need. Don't bring so much stuff. All we need to bring is enough silver, gold, and valuable jewelry. On our way, we'll be passing by our escort house branches in Jiangxi and Hunan and Hubei. Do you think that we have to beg the whole way? The lighter the pack, the better. The less you carry, the easier it is to move about when you fight. At those words, Lin Pingqi had no choice but to put down the packages. Which way shall we take? Dashing out the front gate or sneaking out from the back? Madame Wong asked. But Lin Jianan didn't answer. He sat down in the armchair, closed his eyes, and began smoking his pipe. A while later, he opened his eyes. Pingji, go tell everyone in the escort house to pack their belongings and get ready to leave by dawn tomorrow morning. Ask the bookkeepers to distribute money to them. After the plague is over, then we'll all come back. Yes, father, Linpingji answered, feeling a bit surprised that his father had changed his mind all of a sudden. Are you asking everybody to just break up in chaos? Who's going to watch the escort house then? Madame Wang was also confused. There's no need to watch the house anymore. This is a condemned house, haunted by demons. Who would dare to come in? After we leave, who do you think would remain? Lin Jinan explained. Oh, more super chat. Tsukuyomi gives this stream his divine blessing. Thanks, Tsukuyomi. Fish McFish. Thanks, McFish. Says, I love you more, Lin Senpai. Notice me. I notice you. Tsukuyomi gives us his blessing again. Thank you. I think. I'm not familiar with how Super Chat works. Amanda Wong says this is the best bedtime story. Is it? People dying? Is that a really good bedtime story? Linpingji went out to spread the message. Not long after, the whole escort house was filled with commotion. Lin Jinan waited until Linpingji left and then spoke again. Wife, tomorrow Pingji and I will change into henchman's clothes, and you can disguise yourself as a maid. At dawn, over 100 people will rush out and disperse at the same time. No matter how fierce the enemies are, they only have 2 or 3 people at most and won't know whom to pursue. Great idea, Madame Wong applauded. She went out and soon came back with 2 sets of dirty henchman garments. So when Lin Pingji came back, he and his father could put them on. She herself had changed into a set of dark blue clothes, with a piece of handkerchief decorated with blue flowers covering her hair. Now, except for her extremely white skin color, she looked just like an ordinary maid. Lin Pingji also changed into the henchman clothes. They stank terribly, but he had no other choice. At dawn, Lin Jinan had the gate opened and addressed all who had gathered in the court. This year has not been a good year for us. We've suffered plagues and have been haunted by demons in the escort house. I guess we'll just have to stay away for a while. All brothers who still want to remain in the escorting business, please go to Hangzhou and Nankang to join our Zhujiang and Jiangxi branch escort houses. Escort Liu and Escort Yi there will treat you well. Now let us go. Empress Mermaid, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are wonderful. After these words, all of the over 100 people mounted their horses and rushed out of the gate. Lin Jinan locked the gates, and with a howl, 10 riders dashed over the bloodline. Everyone was greatly encouraged, and by now neither was afraid as before, and all thinking the same thought. The earlier they left the escort house, the safer. The earlier they left the escort house, the safer. So with the thunder of hoofbeats, several rode toward the north gates of the city. Most people did not have any specific plan, so they all followed and headed toward the north gate. Lin Jinan signaled his wife and son to stop by the corner of the street. Let them go. We shall go south instead, he whispered. Isn't Luoyang north from here? Why are we going south? Madame Wang could not understand. The enemy probably had guessed where we are heading to and have set up an ambush outside the north gate. But if we go south instead, then make a turn later to go back north, the ambush will not work, Lin Jinan explained. Father, Lin Pingji suddenly called out. What is it, son? Lin Jinan asked. But Lin Pingji did not say anything more. After a little while, he called again. Father! Oh my god, guys. Empress Mermaid and Fish McFish again. And I guess they're having a battle. A super chat battle. I support this battle, by the way. Tercero. Hey, Tercero. How's it going? Tercero is an awesome person, by the way. What do you want to say? Just speak out, Madame Wong encouraged him. I still want to go out from the north gate, Lin Pingji declared. These damn monsters have killed so many of our people. If we don't fight them to the death, how can we vent our anger? Of course we will get our revenge, but with your skill level, can you defeat his heart-crushing palm? Asked Madame Wong rhetorically. So what? At most, I'll just get killed, like Escort Huo, with my heart crushed in pieces, Lin Pingji rebuffed her. Lin Jinan's face turned livid with anger. If all the 3 generations of our Lin family had acted as recklessly as you, the Fortune Prestige Escort House would have collapsed by itself, saving our enemies the trouble, he bellowed. Lin Pingji did not dare say another word, and just followed his parents quietly. They kept heading south until they were well out of town, and then turned southwest. After crossing the Min River, they arrived at a small town, Nanyu. They continued the trip for half a day without stopping anywhere. When they finally needed a respite, it was already past noon. Oh, thank God. They escaped the house of horrors. But have they escaped the killer? Seeing a small restaurant by the road, they decided to stop and have something to eat. Lin Jinan told the waiter to bring whatever was available and that the food should be prepared as fast as possible. The waiter took the order and left, but after a long while, there was no food forthcoming. Waiter, hurry up! Wanting to resume their trip as fast as possible, Lin Jinan yelled. He yelled one more time, but there was still no response. Madame Wong started calling out as well. Waiter! Waiter! Still no response. Jumping up from her seat, Madame Wong drew the golden saber out from her pack. Gripping it tightly in her hand, she ran to the back room, only to find the waiter lying prone on the ground. There was also a woman lying draped over the threshold. Madame Wong put her finger near the waiter's nostrils and found that he was not breathing. She felt the lips of the body. They were still warm. So they just died. By then, Lin Jinan and Lin Pingji had already drawn their swords and started checking around the small restaurant. The small restaurant stood next to a hill all by itself, adjacent to a small forest, with no other shop or neighbor nearby. The trio stood in front of the restaurant and gazed into the distance, in all directions. But there was nothing unusual at all. Lin Jinan held his sword in front of him and started shouting in a loud voice. Friends of the Qincheng Sword School, Lin Jinan is right here, awaiting his destiny. Please, show yourself. St. Miles, thank you for the super chat. Or is that a super sticker? I think that's a super sticker. I need to read up on this stuff. I'm such a bad YouTuber. Fish McFish says Madame Wong is best girl. No, I like her too. Yuhin Tam says, why would the killer kill the innocent? Yeah, I think they're just bad. Maybe they're just bad people. He called out several times, but was only answered by his own echoes. Show yourself, show yourself. The trio knew that their enemies were watching close by. This was obviously the spot where they had decided to make their attack. All 3 of them gasped nervously, but knowing that everything would be soon over, one way or the other, they also felt a sense of relief and were able to regain some sense of calm. Lin Pingji stands before you. Come and get me, you filthy scoundrels. I know you're too scared to show yourselves. All you can do is to sneak around like thieving pickpockets, Lin Pingji yelled. Suddenly, laughter shot toward them from the woods. Lin Pingji only had enough time to take in the glimpse of a blurry shadow before finding a man standing right in front of him. He did not even bother to take a good look at the man before thrusting his sword toward the man's chest, using the move called Attack Straight to the Heart. That's a very straightforward move. The man turned to one side and dodged the attack. Lin Pingji changed the thrust to a slash to the side. The man sneered and stepped around to Lin Pingji's left. Lin Pingji struck with his left hand and then thrust the sword back. Lin Jinan and Madame Wong both had their weapons in hand and were about to jump in to help, but after seeing the well-arranged series of moves Lin Pingji had put together, they both stepped back. Lin Pingji appeared to be very calm and very organized while fighting such a tough enemy. The man wore a purple robe and had a sword hanging at his waist. He seemed to be about 23 or 24 years of age, and disdain was written all over his long face. Lin Pingji could no longer keep his anger under control. He chopped and stabbed and slashed and diced, using the evil resisting sword art recklessly, not worrying about his own safety. The man just moved around, dodging attacks without bothering to draw his own sword or fight back. After Lin Pingji had used about 20 different moves or so, the man finally sneered. "Is this the vaunted, evil resisting sword art? How mediocre." He flicked the sword with his finger, and there was a reverberating ring. Lin Pingji felt a sharp pain between his thumb and index finger, and could no longer hold on to his sword. The sword fell to the ground, and before he knew it, the man threw a sidekick at him, which knocked him down and sent him rolling across the ground. Immediately, Lin Jinan and Madame Wang rushed over and stood side by side to shield their son behind them. Whew. "What's your name? Are you from the Qinchang Sword School?" Lin Jinan demanded. "With the paltry skills of your fortune prestige escort house, you aren't worthy to know my name. But since I am here for revenge today, I'll make an exception." "You're right, I am from the Qinchang Sword School," the man said haughtily. Lin Jinan pointed his sword to the ground and then cupped his hands in a formal greeting. "I have always held Master Yu of the Pine Wind Temple in the highest regard," he said. "Every year I've sent escorts to the Qinchang Sword School with gifts that have never deigned to be impolite in any way. This year, Master Yu has sent even 4 apprentices to Fuzhou. I wonder how we have offended you." The man rolled his eyes and sneered. After a long while, he finally replied, "You are correct. My master did send 4 apprentices to Fuzhou. I am one of them." "Excellent. What is your honorable name, then?" Lin Jinan asked again. The young man seemed disinclined to answer the question, but with a sniff, he stated, "My surname is Yu. I am Yu Renhao." "Ying Xiong Hao Jie, the 4 aces of Qincheng. You are one of the 4 great apprentices of the Pine Wind Temple," Lin Jinan said with a nod. "No wonder your heart-crushing palm technique is so powerful, capable of killing without drawing blood. Impressive, very impressive. Mr. Yu has come such a long way to visit, and Lin Jinan did not greet him properly. Our lack of manners is unforgivable." So Lin Jinan is being very polite here. And this Yu Renhao guy is one of the top apprentices in the Pine Wind Temple. The heart-crushing palm technique. You did not greet us, but that kung fu master son of yours did. He even killed my master's beloved son. Yes, quite a show of manners. Yu Renhao spoke with dead seriousness. Oh, okay. So the secret is out. It looks like Lin Pingji did kill the son of that master. A cold shiver ran up Lin Jinan's spine. He knew that if his son had only killed a normal apprentice of the Qincheng Sword School, then he could ask a well-respected member of the martial world to intervene and arrange for a formal apology to the Qincheng Sword School, which might have solved the problem. But if the victim were really the son of the Pine Wind Temple Master Yu Kanghai, there would be no longer any alternative except to fight, until one side or the other was completely annihilated. He waved his sword and let out a couple of laughs. "Funny, very funny. Young hero you have told a good joke." "Who's joking?" Yu Renhao replied coldly with raised eyebrows. "I have long since admired Master Yu for his amazing kung fu skills and his strict discipline with his students," Lin Jinan said. "In fact, everyone in the martial world feels the same way. However, the person my son killed was just a punk who was harassing an innocent girl in a wine shop. Since my son was able to kill him, one can easily tell that his kung fu skills must have been very limited. How could such a person possibly be Master Yu's son? Thus, I conclude that the young hero Yu must be joking." Presented with this line of logic, Yu Renhao was at a loss for words. Suddenly, another voice came from the woods. "There is an old saying, 2 fists cannot parry 4 hands. In that tiny wine shop, your young Master Lin and 24 escorts ambushed my... In that tiny wine shop, your young Master Lin and 24 escorts ambushed my junior apprentice brother Yu. The speaker walked out as he spoke. He had a small head and waved a folding fan casually. He continued, if it was a fair fight, then there's not much to talk about. But to be frank, even if the Fortune Prestige Escort House had a lot more people, it wouldn't have made any difference. But your young Master Lin not only poisoned junior apprentice brother Yu's wine, but also shot 17 different kinds of toxic projectiles at him. This son of a turtle is so treacherous. We came to visit in goodwill and never expected to be greeted with an ambush. What is your honorable name? Lin Jianan asked coldly. No honorable name at all. I am Fang Renji, the man answered. By then, Lin Pingji had picked up his sword and had been standing angrily by the side, waiting for his father to finish the conversation before jumping in to fight once again. But when he heard all of the nonsense from Fang Renji, he couldn't help but shout angrily, "That is completely false. I had no grievance with him. I've never even met him before. I didn't know that he was from the Qincheng Sword School. Why would I want to harm him?" Bull! Bull! Thinking lies! Fang Renji shook his head. If you did not have ill feelings toward my junior apprentice brother Yu, why did you hide some 30 escorts and henchmen outside the little shop then? My junior apprentice brother Yu saw you harassing that innocent girl, so he knocked you down to teach you a lesson. He spared your life, but not only were you ungrateful, but you instructed all those damn escorts to attack my junior apprentice brother Yu at once. They keep saying junior apprentice brother, so that's like a younger brother. A younger brother in the sword school. Amanda says the plot is unraveling. Nikki says tweet when you go live so folks can retweet you. Yeah, but my Twitter doesn't have that many people. Lola La Pesada. People are so lazy at this hospital. Do you work at a hospital? Is that what you're doing right now? Are you listening to this while working? Lin Pingji felt that his lungs were going to explode with rage. Is everyone from the Qincheng Sword School a rascal who lies through his teeth? He snarled. The son of a turtle says we're liars, Fang Renji said with a big grin. I said that. So what? Lin Pingji retorted angrily. Continue to do so. It doesn't matter to me, Fang Renji nodded. Lin Pingji was surprised. These words were completely unexpected. Suddenly he heard a swoosh and realized that somebody was jumping toward him. He hurriedly struck out with his left palm, but was still one step too slow. With the sound of flesh against flesh, he was slapped hard across the right cheek. Sparkles began to swirl in front of his eyes. He almost passed out. Fang Renji retreated back to where he was standing after his lightning-quick attack. Putting his hand on his own right cheek, he yelled angrily, "Punk, what did you hit me for? Ouch, it hurts." Ha ha. Seeing her son being humiliated, Madame Wang jumped forth and swung her saber toward the man. This was a move called Wildfire Burning the Sky. Her attack was steady and vicious. The man jumped out of the way and the blade missed his right arm by a mere 4 inches. Damn bitch! Completely shocked, the man cursed. Not daring to take his opponent lightly, he drew his sword and deflected another Madame Wang's strikes. If the Qincheng Sword School wants to get rid of the Fortune Prestige Escort House, that's easy. But as to who is right and who is wrong, the martial world will definitely be the judge of that. Young Sir Yu, if you please. Lin Jianan saluted with his sword. Yu Renhao pressed on his sheath, and the sword jumped out of the sheath with a ring of steel. Chief Master Lin, after you. Lin Jianan thought to himself, I've long heard that the pine wind sword arts of the Qincheng Sword School is both sturdy and light. They say that it is as sturdy as the pine and as light as the wind. I must try to control the initiative for a chance to win. At that thought, he started his attack immediately. After thrusting the sword toward the enemy as a feint, he swiped his sword sideways. This was one move of the evil resisting sword art, called Keep Away Evil. Seeing the ferocity of the blow, Yu Renhao dodged out of the way. Lin Jianan did not wait to complete the move. He immediately followed up with another move, eye-picking Zhong Kui. The point of his sword shot straight toward his opponent's eyes, and as soon as Yu Renhao jumped back from the tip of the sword, his third attack immediately followed. Yu Renhao raised his sword and blocked the thrust. With a clash of metal, both felt the impact in their arms. I thought the kung fu of the Qinchang Sword School was really something, Lin Jianan thought, but it seems to be only average. With this level of skill, how could he possibly perform the powerful heart-crushing palm? He must have another powerful helper around. With this realization, his heart pumped faster. Yu Renhao rounded his sword and stabbed at Lin Jianan, directing his attack at 7 different parts of Lin Jianan's body almost simultaneously. The thrusts were so fast that it seemed as though the air between them had been suddenly filled with the flicker of silver stars. Lin Jianan's counterattack was just as fast, working hard to control the initiative. The two fought back and forth, and after over 20 moves, they were still at a standstill. At the other end, the fight between Madame Wang and Fang Rengji turned out to be a totally different story. Madame Wang's golden saber was simply no match for the incredible speed of her opponent's attacks. It was already a miracle how she managed the several narrow escapes. Seeing his mother on the verge of losing, Lin Pingji hurriedly joined in. He swung his sword downward at Fang Rengji's head. Fang Rengji moved aside and dodged the attack. Lin Pingji lunged forth again like a madman. Suddenly, he tripped on something. Losing his balance completely, he fell flat on his face. "Stay down," he heard somebody yell, and then he felt a foot pressing down heavily on his back, in addition to the sharp prick of a blade. All he could see was the dirt on the ground. He heard his mother screaming, "Don't kill him! Don't kill him!" Then he heard Fang Rengji yelling, "You lie down too." What actually happened was that when Lin Pingji and his mother were fighting Fang Rengji, a third man had sneaked in from behind and swept Lin Pingji with his leg, causing him to stumble. He then pulled out a dagger and placed it right at Lin Pingji's heart. Madame Wang was already having a hard time defending herself. With this distraction, she started panicking, and her moves became careless. It became easy for Fang Rengji to elbow her in the ribs and knock her off her feet. And we're back. St. Miles, oh my god, thank you so much. He says, "Here's something for your bubble teas while showing your presentations." Yes, I miss bubble tea so much. Yeah, so that was the theme song of a 1984 version of Smiling Proud Wanderer. Tercero says, "Next time we need a version of this song with you singing it." Yeah, I don't know Cantonese, but that doesn't stop me from singing it in the shower. But not on stream, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Yu Hin Tam says, "I don't like Chinese music." Why not? It's really good. Meshua says, have I missed a lot? Oh, when you missed like half of the chapter. Lucero says, "We know you're a karaoke superstar." Maybe some English music, not Cantonese music. All right, where were we? So they found out that it was the people at the Qinchang Sword School, right? And now they're fighting with them. And it looks like they're outnumbered. There are at least 3 people. A third guy just came in and just kicked Lin Pingji to the ground. Fang Rengji quickly sealed their pressure points. So remember, they have pressure points, they have acupuncture points, and sealing your pressure points means he just stopped Lin Pingji from moving. So now he can't move. The man who tripped Lin Pingji was none other than Jia, who had fought against the 2 escorts in the small wine shop outside of Fuzhou. So he's back. Seeing both of his wife and son captured by the enemy, Lin Jianan also panicked and attacked more desperately. Zhu Renhao let out a loud laugh and suddenly attacked with several moves and gained all the initiatives in the fight. How did this man learn the moves of my evil resisting sword art? Lin Jianan was astonished. How's my evil resisting sword art? Yu Renhao let out a broad grin. How did you learn the evil resisting? Lin Jianan could only stutter. What's so great about your evil resisting sword art? I learned it too. Feng Rengji started laughing hard. He held his sword and started performing the forms. Keep away the evils, eye picking Zhong Kui, and swallow flying through the willow tree. All were moves of evil resisting sword art. In that instant, Lin Jianan was utterly filled with horror. He could have never imagined that his family's very own secret technique, the evil resisting sword art, being performed by his enemies. He was so confused that he completely lost the will to continue the fight. So they probably know because they were fighting with them, and they were fighting with Lin Pingji. Remember he was playing around with Lin Pingji in the beginning, and they probably studied all his moves. Gotcha, Yu Renhao blurted out as he hit Lin Jianan's knee. The knee went numb and gave out on Lin Jianan, forcing him to kneel down. Though he jumped back up immediately, Yu Renhao had already pressed the tip of his sword at Lin's chest. Junior Apprentice Brother Yu, what an excellent display of shooting star chasing the moon, Jia Renda cheered loudly. But like the others, shooting star chasing the moon turned out to be yet another move of the evil resisting sword art. You know the evil resisting sword art. Okay, just make it quick. Oh, he gave up really easily. Lin Jianan heaved a long sigh and dropped his sword. Numbness spread from his back as Feng Rengji sealed his pressure point with a blow from the pommel of the sword. Then he heard Feng Rengji speak again. It's not going to end that easy, you swine. You son of a turtle, wife of a turtle, and grandson of a turtle. The three of you are going to have the exquisite privilege of meeting my master. Jia Renda grabbed Lin Pingji and lifted him up by the collar, slapping him hard on both cheeks. You little rascal, he snarled. Starting this day, I am going to slap you 18 times a day. From here all the way to Mount Qincheng, I am going to slap you until your puny little face is changed beyond recognition. Filled with hatred, Lin Pingji spat at Jia Renda. Because the two were only a foot from each other, Jia Renda had no chance of dodging, and the wad of saliva hit him right on the nose with a wet smack. Good job. Jia Renda was furious. He hurled Lin Pingji to the ground and began to kick him on his back. Enough! Feng Rengji restrained Jia with a big grin. If you kick him to death, how are we going to explain this to the master? This scum is as fragile as a girl. He can't handle your punches and kicks. Jia Renda's kung fu was just average, but his character was even worse. His master was never fond of him, and even his fellow apprentices looked down on him. When he heard Feng Rengji's words, he didn't dare kick Lin Pingji again, so instead he spat at Lin Pingji to vent his anger. Feng and Yu carried the three members of the Lin family into the small restaurant and threw them onto the floor. Let's eat something first before we start our trip. Junior Apprentice Jia, go cook us something, will you? Feng Rengji commanded. Sure, Jia Renda answered in compliance. Apprentice Brother Feng, we have to be careful not to let these three escape. The old one's kung fu isn't half bad. We'll have to figure something out, Yu Renhao mused. That's easy, Feng Rengji said with a nasty grin. After we eat, we'll just cut the nerves and tendons in their wrists and ankles. We can thread these sons of turtles' collarbones with a rope and tie them together, just like a string of crabs. I'll bet you nobody can run away then. Lin Pingji let loose a torrent of abuse. If you got guts, kill the three of us right now. Only dirty, low-life scum would do that. Would do what you are going to do. One more word out of your little rascal's mouth, and I'll find some cow dung or dog crap to stuff your mouth with. Feng Rengji threatened him with a wolfish grin. These words silenced him. Although it made Lin Pingji almost pass out with rage, he shut his mouth immediately and did not dare say another word. Junior Apprentice Brother Yu, Feng Rengji said, our master taught us the 72 moves of the evil resisting sword art, and we actually did a good job performing them. As soon as the Chief Master Lin saw those moves, he was scared out of his wits, and his body just gave out on him. Chief Master Lin, I guess you must be wondering at this very moment, how the hell did the Qincheng Sword School learn the Lin family's evil resisting sword art. Am I right? At the moment, that was exactly the question Lin Zhenan was pondering in his head. How did the Qinchang Sword School learn the Lin family's evil resisting sword art? Oh, that's it. That's the chapter, guys. We did it.